Hello, I'm Rory Jennings and these are my Premier League predictions for the upcoming season. The transfer window is of course still open, so these could change, but the fixtures are out, so I'm getting my predictions in early. Right, we are going to start with the champions. And whilst there is obviously a consideration to be had around the brilliance of Manchester City, Pep Guardiola is still the best manager in the league. And of course, Arsenal deserve an honourable mention here. The fact that they have finished second time and time and time again means that we have to at least acknowledge them as contenders. But I believe the team to win the league this year is undoubtedly Liverpool. I can't see anyone getting close to them, and Arne Slot is going to pick up and go one better than Liverpool have done in the Premier League era. He is going to make history. Arne Slot is going to retain the Premier League title, something that Liverpool haven't done since 1984. So it really would be a huge statement for them to win the league last year and retain it this year. I can't see how anyone is going to come close to them. They were the best team in the league last year and they have been very wise. They've adopted that Steven Gerrard mantra of fixing the roof when the sun is shining. And the fact that they are strengthening when they are already incredibly strong means that Liverpool will be champions next year. Right, the rest of the top five. I think second place will be Manchester City. I think Pep Guardiola is obviously going to get it right. He will reignite his war with Liverpool. He will go for the jugular and do his best to win the league. But ultimately, this Man City team will fall short. They will finish second. Third in the league is going to be and should be Chelsea. I think we're going to do it. I think that we're going to launch a serious and sustained bid for the league title. We have a young, interesting, good squad. And if Maresca can get it right, he deserves the opportunity to get it right. He did what he was supposed to do last year. He won silverware and he got us into the Champions League. If he can find a rhythm and a formula, there is no reason why Chelsea can't compete for the league. And I think that we can finish third. I think Arsenal are going to finish fourth. I think Mikel Arteta has done a wonderful job since he's been at the club, but ultimately they've fallen short. And whilst the team have been very good, what they don't have is that defining moment. They need silverware, and I think the pressure of needing silverware, needing a title this year, is going to be too much for them. They've been brilliant over the past 3 years. At various points in those 3 years, I feel like they have been the best team in the country. But ultimately, they're going to fall short, and this is the year where they're going to have to look at the squad and reimagine themselves after this season. It's going to be a coming-of-age moment for them, and a bit of a shock to the system. Arsenal will finish fourth. In fifth spot, I think it's really tough because I rate Unai Emery so highly, but I think Eddie Howe is also brilliant at what he does. And it's a toss-up between Aston Villa and Newcastle United. The pitfall of the Champions League, the perils of juggling a domestic campaign with the Champions League is going to be so difficult for Newcastle. And obviously, Aston Villa don't have to worry about that. So on some level, it's slightly easier for Aston Villa. But I think Newcastle will make it into the Champions League again. I think they're going to have an impressive run in the Champions League. Unai Emery is a brilliant manager. And I actually would say that Aston Villa will win the Europa League. I think that Aston Villa fans should be booking their flights and accommodation in Istanbul because I honestly think that they will win the Europa League. I think Villa will finish sixth. In seventh, I am going to go with... This is going to sound slightly wild, but there is an unpredictable quality to this Everton team going into the new season. Nobody knows what they're going to be like in this new ground. If they can use and galvanise the new stadium to the best of their ability, if they can get the atmosphere to mimic what they had in the Gladys Street, there is a chance that Everton are going to finish in seventh spot. Right, dark horses for Europe. Now, I don't know if I'm playing this game correctly, considering that I'm calling them dark horses off the back of them winning European silverware last year and competing in the Champions League this year. I was going to say Tottenham Hotspur. I think that Tottenham will finish high enough in the league to secure European qualification. The Champions League is going to be very tough for them. It's an arduous, difficult terrain to navigate, and I think that they could struggle there. But domestically, I think Frank is a good manager, and I think actually Tottenham have finally got it right. Appointing a stable footballing sage is exactly what they need to do. If we're going total outsider, I'm just going to put an honourable mention out there. If we're going total outsider, I'm going Marco Silva, Fulham. I think he's a clever manager. Right, relegation candidates. Now, where I sit on this, I think that somebody is going to be sucked into it who we don't expect. I don't believe that it will be 3 up, 3 down again. Somebody is going to be sucked in, and I'm going to go for a left field shout. West Ham United under Graham Potter are going to be relegated. West Ham United, I've never known a manager who is so not befitting the club. West Ham United are a proud club with a rich history, with a chip on their shoulder and a very vocal and passionate fan base. None of that chimes with the man that Graham Potter is. Nothing about West Ham United sits comfortably with Graham Potter at the helm. Whilst he is there, I think that they are genuine relegation candidates. I think I could give an honourable mention here to Brentford. Brentford without Thomas Frank, you never know. Without Brian Mbeumo, you never know. They're a very well-run club. But there is a chance that Brentford could also be sucked into it. It's going to be very difficult for Sunderland. It's going to be really difficult. I'd love them to survive. I'd love them to stay up. I think the Premier League is a better place, having big, prestigious clubs like Sunderland in the top flight. But I think they've got their work cut out. On some level, I feel like they've been over-promoted, promoted a touch too early. I'd love them to do it, and I like their owner. I think he's a very ambitious man, very clever man. And there is a world where they could survive. But Sunderland and Burnley, it's going to be so tough for them. But I'd like them to both stay up. I really like Scott Parker. I really like Sunderland. I mean, the transfer window is still wide open, but we already know who the best signing of the window is going to be. There is no way that a better player will move anywhere in this window than Florian Wirtz. Liverpool have won the window. It's already over. So the signing and the capture of Florian Wirtz by Liverpool, it's a statement signing. It's the marquee signing that they've been waiting for, and he's going to elevate that Liverpool attack beyond recognition. So annoying, but Liverpool have absolutely made the best signing this summer, no doubt. Now, we're going to do this in a slightly different way, and I think it's important that we acknowledge the context. Real Madrid are a brilliant club, so they're probably going to win a lot of games. But I don't think that Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to have the career at Real Madrid that he thinks he's going to have. You know, his ambition of being the first right-back to win the Ballon d'Or is not going to happen. I think that he will ultimately see success because anyone who plays for Real Madrid generally does. But I don't believe that he is going to have the time that he believes he will have there. I'm not necessarily sure I'll call it a flop, but I don't think that the signing of Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid is going to go as well as everyone else seems to think. Right, the top goal scorer. Now, generally speaking, this is so easy because the answer is Mohamed Salah. You just say Mohamed Salah, he is as much a guarantee as you can possibly get in football. He will go down as a true great of the game. That guarantee, I feel like we overlook it. I feel like we don't necessarily give players the credit they deserve when they are doing it week in, week out, year in, year out. It's an amazing guarantee. So I would, under normal circumstances, say Mohamed Salah, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to get a little bit crafty with this because it is AFCON. So he's going to be missing for a significant portion of the season. There is a doubt within me that suggests that he could score enough to still win it, even missing 6 weeks of the season. But I'm going to go slightly more left field. Newcastle United's Alexander Isak will win the Golden Boot. Elite player, brilliant footballer, a true icon in the making. And I think that he will win the Golden Boot this year. Right, we're going to talk about the promoted teams now. Leeds United, Burnley and Sunderland. Now, this is very interesting. We're going to start with Leeds United, and I think Leeds United are going to stay up, and I honestly hope they do. Look, I'm a Chelsea fan, so there is a huge rivalry with Leeds. I was brought up to despise Leeds. We still sing about the FA Cup that we won in 1970 at Old Trafford. But I think that they can get it right. And if they make intelligent signings and spend the money that they secured last year wisely, remember, they sold a lot of players. Rutter went to Brighton. They sold Archie Gray. They sold Somerville. If they can invest some of that money and partner it up with some of the money that they could get from the 49ers, there is a chance that Leeds United, who, in terms of infrastructure, obviously belong in the Premier League, there is a chance that they can survive. And I really hope they do. So Leeds United, I'm not going to put in my relegation contenders even. They're going to get it right. Burnley, I really hope they can do it. I love Scott Parker. I think he's brilliant for the game. And I would like to see Burnley survive. There is a chance that they could. They were built on defensive solidity rather than outscoring everyone in one division, then coming up and having to redefine their game. They can rely on what they were good at last year. But it's going to be so tough. It really is going to be so tough. I hope they can do it, but it's going to be tricky for them. And Sunderland, big, prestigious football club, great support, great ground. Look, Ian Porterfield was my first Chelsea manager, so the fact that he's a Sunderland icon as well makes me kind of like the idea of them staying up. Sunderland are going to go down though, aren't they? I'd love them to stay up, but I feel like they're going to go down. I imagine that 2 of the 3 will go, but Leeds United will survive. Underachievers, I mean, this is so easy, isn't it? The biggest underachievers will obviously be Manchester United. They're a club in total disarray. They have been let down woefully at boardroom level year after year after year, and it is now coming to a head. They are rudderless. They've appointed a manager who looks out of his depth. You look at the signings. They've got so many players at that club who need to be shipped out. When we talk about a transfer window, for them, it would be a successful window, regardless of who they sign, if they could get rid of the heavyweights, the baggage, trim the fat, get rid of Luke Shaw, get rid of Casemiro on 350 grand a week, get rid of Manuel Ugarte on a fortune, get rid of Mason Mount doing nothing there on a fortune, get rid of Rasmus Højlund, dreadful footballer, the worst footballer to have ever worn that Manchester United crest. There are so many woeful footballers at that club that I just can't see it going well for them. But they are the biggest or the second biggest club in the country. So if they don't qualify for the Champions League, that would be underachieving. And I don't even think they're going to finish in the top 10. Overachievers on some level is always Brighton. If Brighton end up in the Premier League, they have overachieved. They are, infrastructure-wise, League Two club. So the fact that they maintain themselves as a Premier League side is on some level overachieving every year. But in a more exciting setting, honestly, I see Aston Villa doing really well in Europe. I can see them winning European silverware. I think Crystal Palace, if they are allowed to play in Europe, will do really well in Europe as well. And I could see Fulham having a decent domestic campaign. Everton, although I've said Everton will finish in the potential European spots, but I don't see that as overachieving. They're a massive club, they should be there. So I'm going to go Fulham domestically and Aston Villa in a European context. Now, the best manager in the league. This is such an interesting conversation because the obvious answer is Pep Guardiola. But I think that we have to roll with the punches a little bit and acknowledge what we have witnessed. Pep Guardiola's team lost 9 out of 11 games last year. Now, under most managements, that gets you sacked. You know, if that happened to any Chelsea manager under Roman Abramovich, you would have been sacked. So I think that Pep Guardiola is obviously still the best manager in the league. He's actually the best manager in the world. But in terms of who is doing it, who is demonstrating their brilliance week in, week out, the best manager in the league is obviously Arne Slot. Arne Slot taking that Liverpool team to the league title and doing it at a canter, winning the league so early, it was never in doubt. And to do that in your first year, following on from an iconic manager and doing it with practically no transfer window, it's historic. So Arne Slot goes down, in my opinion, as currently the best manager in the league. However, I just want to give a little shout out to Oliver Glasner. What he has done to Crystal Palace. I mean, this is the best Crystal Palace team ever. This is the best that Crystal Palace have ever had it. They've been a Premier League team now for what, a decade? No threat of them going down. I mean, when I was a kid, it was all right and bright. But I think this is the best time for Crystal Palace in their history. And a lot of that goes down to the brilliance of Oliver Glasner winning them their first trophy. It'd be very interesting to see what he can do this year.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.